Okay, so good morning. Magandang umaga sa lahat. At ako si Angel Luzari. I'm the president and the thinker of Luzari Consulting. At andito na naman tayo sa ating Monday Learning Habit. At dito sa Monday Learning Habit, ang ginagawa natin ay simple lang, nag-aaral tayo. At ang gusto kasi natin is for us to be able to develop ourselves, to become better persons, and at least to learn something new every week. Kaya ginagawa natin itong Monday Learning Habit. Every Monday at 7 p.m., nagdi-discuss tayo ng books. Hindi naman one book per session, kundi we discuss books, and as much as possible, we discuss it deeply, as deeply as we can, so that we get the learnings. We've done this a couple of times already. We've done probably about 6, 7 books done, and this time we're discussing this book, Sun Tzu: The Art of War. Now, this is a very fantastic book in a sense that although the book was supposed to be written for wars, as in military wars, uh, the business people and the academy has got in touch, or has noticed this book, and saw its application not only in military but more so in business. That's why Sun Tzu, The Art of War, is now being used in as a textbook in some schools. In when I was taking my MBA, I think we this was one of the books that we discussed, because it is so vital to understand how business works, not only from the perspective of HR, for example, or operations, but from the perspective of looking at business as a war. That's why the art of war is being used to look at how we run businesses. And the premise of this is that if you have a business and you have competitors around you, how do you win over them? How do you beat them, and how do you increase your performance, increase your sales, increase your market share? And all of these are discussed in this book. Now, so far in our discussion, we have, or in the slide that we have now, we are doing chapter 4, and it is tactical disposition. So, chapter 4 talks about that, but we've done already chapter 1, which talked about laying plans, and we've also done chapter 2, which was about waging war. So in the first chapter, laying plans, it is preparing for battle. Waging war, this is at the onset of the battle. Next, attack by stratagem is how you start, or how you capture your opponents and how you win over them. And this time, let's talk about tactical dispositions. Tactical dispositions is, well, strategy and tactics. These are two different things that you will hear from, well, from generals and from strategists. So here, tactical disposition talks about what do you need to do when you are already at war. What do you need to do when the enemy is already there, or you are already in the battlefield? What are you going to do? So that's our topic today, tactical disposition. And the way we go about this is, I get quotations from the book itself of Sun Tzu, and we try to explain it using, well, basing it in some of the things that we have discussed before, or knowledge that we have, or history, or anything that we can use for us to understand more tactical disposition. Okay, so simulan natin ito. Sun Tzu said, the good fighter of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, and then wait for an opportunity of defeating enemy. Yun muna, ah. The good fighters of old put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat. So this means that they create scenarios wherein they will not lose. Okay, and continuing on, and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. So you are already prepared. Everything has been set up. Okay, your forces are already in place. You are just ready for the war, and that's what he's saying here. The good fighters put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat. So everything is in place and you know you're going to win. Then what do you do? And then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. So even though everything is already in place, you don't immediately attack. You also need to look at what your what your enemy is doing, what their positions are. What, basically, you need to read your opponent also. Going on to the second verse, to secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy itself. Okay, these are two things. First, he's saying to secure ourselves against defeat so that we will not lose lies in our own hands. So it depends upon the level of preparation that we have set, that we have done, that will determine if we will not lose. But the opportunity of defeating the enemy, meaning winning over the enemy. So two things: by not being defeated and defeating the enemy. So one is more of defense, the other is attacking. So the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy itself by looking at what the enemy is doing. Based on how you prepared yourself, you can win over your opportunity, your enemy. So two things, preparation and attack. Okay, and critical to this, for you not to lose, not to have a defeat, is by putting yourself in a position where defeat cannot happen. So you need all the preparations that you can have so that whenever you need to go to war, you are prepared and you will not lose. Okay, here he did not say yet that you will win. He's simply saying you will not lose because it is possible that you don't lose and yet you don't win. You don't kill the enemy. You don't bring them down. But they were not able to bring you down. So it's more of a tie, something like that. So what he's saying here is you need to prepare first so that you will not lose. And when you are prepared not to lose, that's the time you look at the enemy and you see and you check what are they doing so that you can exploit the well the weaknesses that they have. Okay, when it comes to preparation, I always think about one person. When it comes to preparation, I always think about this guy. Sorry. Okay, this guy, Manny Pacquiao. A lot of people say that he's a good boxer. Okay, he is fast and he can really punch well. All of these things, but what they are not much aware of is the guy is really good when he is in the ring, but what you don't see is what he does prior to getting up the ring. What preparation that he has, what preparations that he is doing, so that when he steps on the ring, he will definitely first not lose, and second to win over the enemy. Okay, so let's look at that. How does Manny Pacquiao prepare for a battle, for a bout? Okay, I checked the internet and I was able to find this in one of the YouTube videos. It shows what exercises Manny Pacquiao does prior to a game. Of course, I already know that he is really one beast when it comes to preparation for a boxing match, because I have a friend who used to be part of his training camp, and I remember one time he told me, "Sir Angel, you know what? I can totally understand why Manny Pacquiao always wins in his boxing matches." And I asked why. Sir, because if you can see him prepare for a match, nobody on earth, I think, can top him. And this is what he does. I'd like you to look at this. Okay, this is his preparation. Whenever he is exercising, preparing his body, preparing his physique for any game, for any match. These are the things that he does. Monday and Wednesday. Okay, so just the list is only for 2 days a week. There are things that he's doing the rest of the week, of course, but this is just for Monday and Wednesday workout routine. Okay, running for 10 miles, stamina building. And when you say running, this is combination of jogging, running, and sprinting. And he does sprints. Going uphill, he does sprints. So running for 10 miles, then 8 rounds of shadow boxing, 15 rounds of sparring, 10 rounds of speed bag, 10 rounds of heavy bags, 7 rounds of jump rope, two sets of ab crunches, 100 repetitions, two sets of knee ups, 100 repetitions, then two sets of diagonal crunches, both sides, 100 repetitions, so left and right, two sets of alternate bicycles of 100 repetitions, two sets of leg scissors of 100 repetitions, two sets of vertical leg crunches of 100 repetitions, two sets of side crunches of 100 repetitions, two sets of floor wipers of 100 repetitions, and two sets of Russian twists of 100 repetitions, and two rounds of agility ladder drills, speed workout. All of these, all of these, he does in a day. Uh, he runs in the morning, then rests in the morning after running, then he eats a lot of food, and he does all of this. When another athlete attempted to do all of these things and eat the way Manny Pacquiao eats during preparation, he started at about 5 a.m. and ended 12 midnight. That's how long it took him to do all of these things. But Manny Pacquiao does this just the entire day, with the morning half of the day spent for sleeping and resting. So he runs and he would sleep or rest for 4 hours, 8 a.m. to 12 noon, then wakes up at 12 noon for lunch, then does all of this in the afternoon, and not the entire afternoon, because he still has snack time, he still has rest time. So he does all of these things in a span of just a few minutes. And the other guy who attempted to do this spent the entire day doing this. Now, how much does he eat? This is what Manny Pacquiao eats when he is preparing for um, a boxing match. Okay, 7,350 calories total. The normal calorie intake of a female, grown-up female, is about 1,500 to 2,000 calories, if I remember it right. And for male, grown-out male, it's about 2,000 to 2,500 calories. Manny Pacquiao does 7,500 calories, 133 grams of fat, 904 grams of carbs, 579 grams of protein. All in all, 7,350 calories. Why does he need all of these calories? Because of the exercises that he does. Because of all of these things, he needs the energy, he needs the calories. So that he eats this much. And again, the recommended daily calorie intake varies depending on many factors, including age, metabolism, and physical activity. This comes from Google. Average woman, 1,600 to 2,400 calories pala. And adult male, 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day. And how much does he eat? 7,350 calories. That's the level of preparation that Manny Pacquiao does in preparing for a game. Ganyan siya kahalimaw to prepare for a game. And aside from exercising so much, and you can see this in some of his videos, he eats a lot to give him energy. So all of these are there for preparation, preparing for battle. Tuloy natin. Sun Tzu said, hence the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible. So imagine if you're training like Manny Pacquiao, it's setting yourself up so that defeat is impossible. Of course, he has losses also, but if you check how many wins he has, and the enemies or the opponents that he practically sent to the ground, Ang dami. So, hence the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible and does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. Thus, it is that in war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been. I get has been seen. So when you go to battle, you should already see that you're winning the battle. That's what he's saying. Do not go into battle not knowing what the outcome will be. Because if you don't know if you're going to win or not, then don't go into battle. So, a good tactician would already plan out everything and would already know that they will win the battle before they fight the battle. And if you don't know if you will win or not, then forget about going into war. Forget about trying to beat the enemy. Now, one other thing that reminded me of this style is what happened in World War II. Imagine, look at these statistics. Germany had 18 million population total. This was during the time when during World War II. Italy had 44 million, and Japan had 70 million in population. That's a total of 194 million in population. But at the time, the world population was 2.4 million. 2.4 billion. Sorry, 2.3 billion. So 2.3 billion less the 200 million of Germany, Italy, and Japan. The rest of the world at the time was 2.1 billion or 2,100 billion. That's how big the world was. That's how much how big the population was at the time. Pero if you will look at this, ang konti lang nila, that's a very small percentage of the world population, and yet they practically dominated the world. Tingnan niyo itong map na to. The left is the total the Axis forces. There are basically three countries in the Axis forces: the Germans, the Italians, and the Japanese. Um, of course, the Japanese the Germans led by Adolf Hitler, Mussolini of Italy. So those were the two countries that dominated. Look at the map. The red is Germany and Italy. And if you check, that's only a small fraction of the entire Europe. And yet, they were able to dominate the entire Europe at the time. And Japan, on the other hand, practically dominated the Asia. Southeast Asia, Asia, so you have there Indonesia, Malaysia, China. Imagine those big countries, including the Philippines, of course, those big countries being controlled by Japan. And look at the population again. Germany had 80 million, Italy had 44, and Japan had 17. Total of 194 million against the 2.1 billion of the rest of the world. How did they do this? By preparation. They knew what they were going to do and they prepared for it. In Europe, I don't know if you've heard the term. The term is blitzkrieg. That was the term that was used at the time. Ano yun? What is blitzkrieg? Shock and awe. Shock and awe. So, ang bilis niyan. Three things ang ginamit niya. First is by air. Next is field artillery. Then by infantry. Tatlo, magkakasunod. Pa, pa, pa. And what they needed to do first was by air to shock the enemy. Then in comes field artillery trying to soften things up. Of course, the aerial attack already softens things up. The main target of the aerial attack is the defense, the defenses of the enemy. So take out the defenses. Then you go then the field artillery comes in, soften things up. Then you put in the infantry and sets up garrison, sets up areas there where they can already establish their presence in the land. So imagine, Germany was able to do this quickly. Germany and Italy were able to do this. And ang bilis lang yan. Sobrang bilis, hindi alam ng mundo kung anong gagawin niya. Even Russia. Russia is a very big country. They were able to uh, control Russia at the time. And towards the end, of course, Russia wanted to sign a pact with them, although it did push through because Germany already lost. Pero ang bilis nun. And Japan, Southeast Asia, and syempre, the first thing that Japan did was Pearl Harbor. When they attacked Pearl Harbor, shock din yung Amerika. Imagine, look at the map, okay? Look at this map. Anong ginawa ng Japan? Ang ginawa ng Japan, patago siya. Patago na lumapit muna sa Pearl Harbor. Of course, nobody knew what they were doing. Aeroplano, patago, barko, patago, everything was patago. So all the US didn't know what was happening at the time. Then biglang boom, attack sa Pearl Harbor, aeroplano, attack, mga barko, tapos ang labanan. One simple sweep. So it was so powerful that Douglas MacArthur was in the Philippines at the time. And what America did was to recall its forces so that they can defend America first. Of course, even if they tell us that we are their friends for life, BFFs, but if they feel that they are under attack, or they are in danger, they will pull back all their forces to strengthen America first. So that was the time when General Douglas MacArthur uttered the famous words, "I shall return." Basically, what he meant at that time was, kanya-kanya muna tayo. Diyan muna kayo, alis muna ako, balik muna ako sa US, kanya-kanya muna tayo. I shall return. Balik na lang ako pag okay-okay na. Pero since ngayon, medyo malala pang nangyayari, kanya-kanya muna tayo. That's basically what he said. And when he returned, the war was practically done and finished at the time. And our Hukbalhap was already beating Japan, and we were already regaining our territory at the time when they came back and said, "We are here to liberate you." It was already a done deal. Tinalo na natin ng Japan nun. Ginawa lang nila, magmarcha-marcha, mamigay ng mga chocolates and everything, at sinabi na, "Kami ang nag-liberate sa inyo." Of course, kalokohan lang yun. Pero, yun nga, if you will look at this map, ang liit lang ng Germany, ang liit lang ng Italy, ang liit lang ng Japan, and yet nasakop nila ang mundo. How did they do it? Shock and awe. Mabilisan. At yun yung sinasabi nito ni Sun Tzu. A good leader already sees the victory. And whenever you will go to war, you should already design it in such a way that you know you will become victorious. And if you cannot see yourself winning in the war, do not ever engage. Huwag ka nang papasok. Huwag ka nang lalaban sa gera since hindi mo rin naman alam kung ano mangyayari. By the way, magandang gabi pala po. Good morning, Sir Arnel. Nandito si Sir Arnel again. Okay, so tuloy natin yung sinasabi ni Sun Tzu. Basically, itong chapter na to ay masasummarize mo sa tatlong points lang: positioning for victory, defensive versus offensive tactics, and importance of strategy and discipline. So, sa positioning, kailangan sa gera, alam mo yung position mo, alam mo yung position ng kalaban. Defensive and offensive, kailangan malakas ang pwersa mo and ensure that you will not lose, and at the same time, papasok ka rin, opensa, be sure that you will win. Although on the side, if you've heard of Coach Baby Dalupan, may isa siyang sinabi diyan about defense and offense. And this is a famous quotation by Coach Baby Dalupan, the one of, I think, the winningest, or at the time the winningest coach in Philippine basketball. And he said, "The best defense is offense." Yun ang sinabi niya. The best defense is offense. And the third is importance of strategy and discipline. Now, we've been talking about war. Okay, although we talked about boxing as well. Pero tingnan nga natin, how do we use this in business? Okay, if you're in the business, tingnan mo kung paano natin ginagamit. First, positioning for victory. You need to make sure that your presence is there, you're strong, and you need to make sure that you are there for victory. Okay. Paano ginagawa yung positioning for victory sa business? At nandiyan na yung example natin na one of the best companies ever created. Sabi sa positioning for victory, companies often invest in branding, product differentiation, and market segmentation to secure their position and differentiate themselves from competitors. Tingnan mo yung ginawa ng Apple when it comes to positioning. Alam mo ano yung product positioning ng Apple? When it comes to technology, Apple is not way ahead. In fact, there are so many small and bigger companies that specs wise, their cell phones, well, will easily beat Apple's cell phones. Not only in terms of cell phones, even in laptops, even in iPads, in tablets. A lot of other companies are already beating Apple when it comes to specs. But then again, those who buy Apple products are not there just for the specs. They are there for the brand. They're there for the image, to say that you have an Apple brand in your hands. So that sets them apart. That's why even if Apple cell phones, Apple laptops, and tablets are already beyond competitors when it comes to specs. Specs wise alone, they're already beyond. They're already left behind. But when it comes to pricing, Apple is still the most expensive of all. They're about 20 to 30% more expensive than competitors, and there are even some brands that are priced half of what the price of an Apple iPhone, but when it comes to specs would beat an iPhone. Pero yun nga eh, ang galing. Apple was able to market their product, market their brand so effectively that they have a whole horde of loyal followers that would only buy Apple products. And they would wait for the new arrivals or new cell phones of Apple, and they would sell their previous cell phones and buy a new one. Ganun ka-loyal ang tao sa Apple. And the level of loyalty to the brand was only akin to the loyalty that we had before of Nokia. Remember during the time when Nokia was dominating the cell phone world, everyone practically was using Nokia. If you use a different phone at the time, if you use, of course, there was already Motorola, there was BlackBerry pala, and there was Sony, Ericsson, but the one that was dictating the movement at the time was Nokia. That's how powerful Nokia was. But at the time, Nokia's specs were generally much better than the rest. But here with Apple, in the case of Apple, their specs are not better than the rest. But they are the most expensive, and at the same time, the brand loyalty is there. How were they able to do it? Again, companies often invest in branding, product differentiation, and market segmentation. Apple knows how to read the market, and based on them, market simply says, "I want a premium product," and that is Apple. So that's number one, positioning for victory. Let's look at number two, defensive versus offensive tactics. How do companies apply this? Let's give another example for this. And this time we're using Netflix as an example. Defensive tactics in business include measures to protect market share so that other companies will not eat up in your market share. So, measures to protect market share, such as customer retention programs, quality control, and risk management. Now, Netflix is ahead of the pack. But you also have what right now? You have Disney Plus, you have HBO Go, you have View for those who want Korean telenovelas. But still, Netflix is ahead of the pack. And how was Netflix able to do this? Aside from getting movies that were already shown in theaters, Netflix already has their Netflix originals. So these types of companies, HBO, Disney, Netflix, they have their own outfit that produces movies for their own. Because in terms of movies that were shown in the theater, any other all the other competitors may also buy the rights for for those movies. That's why you can see movies that are shown in Netflix but are also shown in Disney Plus and also shown in HBO Go. You can see movies crisscrossing the different platforms. So for this not to be the case on all the movies that and series that they have, Netflix has created their own movies and their own series. So we would watch Netflix for the movies, but not only for the movies that are open to all, but also for their series. And if they have good series, we will keep on our Netflix subscription. These are also already being done by others, of course. uh, Disney Plus, well known for their what Star Wars series and Marvel series. So you have aside from the Marvel the movies that are shown, Marvel movies, they have different Marvel series. So you have Loki, and what you have Miss Marvel. You have all of these sub movies, or it's being done through series. HBO, of course, well known for Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones was really very successful. It created a cult following, and they added another one, which is the premise or the pretext of Game of Thrones. So it was, I think, several generations prior to Game of Thrones. So they have this so that they can keep their loyal followers. Why? Because if you don't have those, and the movies that they show, the movies and the series that they show can also be seen in other platforms, their subscribers might transfer to other platforms. But if they have series and movies that could only be seen in their own platform, people will stay. So they have defensive and offensive strategies. Hindi aalis sa mga tao at nagdadagdag pa because they like the series. Okay, tingnan natin ngayon pa ito. Importance of strategy and discipline. Dito, how do you make sure that uh, you keep the value for your for your clients, for your people. And dito ang gamitin natin SM. Ito, gusto ko rin tong SM na ito. Strategic planning and discipline. Successful business employ strategic planning to set goals, allocate resources effectively, and adapt to changing market conditions. This requires disciplined execution and adherence to core principles and values. Kung titingnan mo, SM, started lang naman yan. Ano pangalan ng SM? Ano ibig sabihin ng SM? Shoe Mart. They were selling shoes. Yun lang naman simula sa kanila eh. Then they created the big malls, and they have now mga loyal clients nila. Pero titingnan mo sa SM. Punta ka sa SM ngayon. Well, isa ako sa mga naunang naging suki ng SM. Hindi yung SM stores lang yung SM malls talaga. The first biggest mall of SM, kasi nagsimula ang SM sa Quiapo. Pero yung unang-unang malaking mall talaga ng SM is SM City. This is in North EDSA, SM North EDSA. It was launched 1986. And imagine 1986 was yung kasa-celebrate lang natin itong February 25 na hindi ginawang holiday kasi naiinis si Marcos dahil yung pamilya niya tinanggal nung time na yun. Yung sa EDSA Revolution. So, during the time, political turmoil talaga. Ang gulo ng lahat. Economy was down, yung military was on total disarray, basta magulo ang lahat. And at the time, nag-open ang SM City. And at that time din kasi, nag-college ako. First year college ako sa Diliman. So imagine ha, UP Diliman and SM City. Ang lapit lang yan. Isang sakay lang yan. Pwede ka na makarating. So uh, from UP, lalabas ka pala muna sa ano, lalabas ka muna ng UP, then sasakay ka ng UP Pantranco or UP North. Yun ang sasakay mo ng jeep. Pero malapit lang siya. So, the time na bumukas yung SM City, freshman ako ngayon sa college. So, syempre, freshman sa college, may mall na malapit. Tambay, pumupunta-punta sa mall. The first time na nakita mo yung SM, maganda. Maganda yung paligid. Kaya lang, hindi pa siya high-tech. What do I mean by that? If you go to SM now, tingnan mo, one of the things that you might want to look at, yung CR. Ang ganda ng CR ngayon. Dati talagang basic lang. Pero unti-unti nilang pinapaganda ng pinapaganda. Why? Because remember, ang pinaka-tagline ng SM, happy to serve. Diba? Happy to serve. Yan, gumaganon sila. So, they want to highlight service. Gusto nilang maging masaya yung mga customers nila. Kaya nga, SM can simply house yung mga locators nila, nandiyo yung mga shops, gano'n. Pero hindi eh. SM goes beyond. Kaya kung titingnan mo yung structure sa paligid, yung itsura, may mga lawn sila na magaganda, everything is really beautiful. I've been to different SMs, different provinces sa Iloilo, sa Davao, sa siyempre sa Cavite, Laguna. Dati kasi there was a time na nung time na may bombing nung time na yon, I don't know if you remember it. Yung mga tao hindi nagpunta ng SM kasi natakot nga sa bomba. And at the time I had with my partners, we had an event organizing company, and we were hired by SM to do events in SM. So doon namin nagawa yung Mother's Day, Father's Day, Children's Day, Grandparents' Day. Basta iba, lahat ng day na lang ginawa namin yun. And we were doing the events dun sa entertainment area nila. Imagine, entertainment area ng SM is very expensive. That they lent it to us for free. Libre. Ano lang request ng SM sa amin? Pabalikin nyo lang yung tao sa malls. So kaya naikot ko yung mga SMs kasi pag nagpapagames kami nun sa entertainment center, ako yung MC. Ako yung pinaka Tito Pepe ng time na yun. So we were going around. Kaya nakikita ko yung iba't ibang SM. And if you will compare those SMs at the time sa SM ngayon, ang layo na talaga ng itsura. Ang layo na ng setup. Sobrang high-tech na ngayon. Plus, syempre, to get the loyalty of people, kapag meron kayong SM, yung prestige card ng SM, meron ka pang lounge doon mismo sa loob ng SM na pwede kang mag-relax doon. Aircon doon, meron doon tubig, may mga kape-kape doon. Lounge lang talaga. Para pag napagod ka sa pag-shop, kasi ang dami mo nang binibili mga product ng SM, kaya ka nga naka-prestige card, pwede ka mag-relax doon. And yung prestige card, it doesn't, when you have a prestige card, hindi yan forever and ever, naglalapse din yan for 1 year. And before kasi we had a restaurant and we were buying a lot of stuff sa SM. And because of that, we also had a prestige card. So meron talagang pwesto na para sa mga prestige. Even in supermarkets, may sariling pila ang prestige card holders na kapag minsan mahaba ang pila sa paligid, kung may prestige card ka, doon ka pipila. Although, minsan doon, hindi rin naman kami nagpe-prestige ng pila kasi mahaba lalo yung sa prestige. Ang dami na mabinibili, kaya pwedeng pumili ka naman. Pero yun nga when it comes to discipline, when it comes to making sure na kung if we are here for service, or if we are talking about services, if we want to serve our people, if we want to serve our customers, then let's go and just do it and make sure na nakakapag-serve talaga tayo ng tama, nakakapag-serve talaga tayo ng gusto sa kanila. And kaya nga nile-level up nila yung types of services nila. Yung panahon nga ng pandemic, may ginawa pang SM yung shopper, anong ginagawa nila dun sa pag-shop na yon? Ang ginagawa nila, if since you can't go to the mall to shop, may tatawagan ka na lamang na number. At yung tatawagan mo na number na yon, ay ikukwento sa'yo, ipapakita yung mga products sa'yo, tapos sasabihin mo na lang, oh, that's the one that you want. O, papakita. Di ba? If you're looking for the dress, for example, or if you're looking for pants, for example, the shopper, I forgot the name of the shopper, or how the shopper is called. Pero shopper na yon will be the one going around SM looking for the product that you want. And yun nga, naka-video cam kayo, then ipapakita lang, ito po ba ang gusto niyo, ma'am? Oh, ayan. Oh, okay, that's what I want. Then, i-prepare na yon. You will pay. I think, basta online payment ang gagawin. And, pupuntahan mo na lang sa SM. Two things eh. Either it gets delivered to you, meron namang mga delivery, ano yan, yung Lala Move, di ba? Yung mga yan, Grab. You can have it delivered to you, or you can go to the mall. Hindi ka na papasok sa loob ng mall. Sa labas lang. May nakapwesto na doon, wherein kahit nasa loob ka ng sasakyan mo, dadaan ka lang doon, bibigay sa yung item, then you go. They needed to do that. Why? Because during the pandemic time, walang pumupunta na tao sa malls. Sarado yung mga malls. Kaya nga, ito yung mga ginagawa nila to make sure that they'd be able to really help their clients. Kaya when we talk about itong sinasabi ni Sun Tzu ngayon sa chapter 4 niya, when we talk about tactical dispositions, it is making sure that you will win. Okay? It's making sure that even before you go into war, alam mo na panalo ka. So the preparation has to be strong, really not only your forces but the forces of your enemy as well, making sure that you have checked all the boxes to make sure that you will win. And never ever go to battle without knowing that you will win. Kaya nga sa sinasabi ni Sun Tzu, bago ka palang pumunta sa gera, you already know the outcome of the battle, and in that outcome is just one, that you will win. Okay? So maraming salamat for joining us tonight. Ito yung topic natin next week. Let's talk about energy. Yeah, maganda na naman yan. Yung energy na yan, ibang level na naman ang ikukwento sa atin yan. Ano ba yung energy? And how do you use that? When do you use that? Why do you use that when it comes to battle? And paano mo gagamitin yan para masigurado na mananalo ka sa kung ano man ang gera na papasukin mo. Okay? So again, maraming salamat for those who are here. Maraming salamat, Sir Ronel. Ferdi, classmate ko nung elementary. And Dinah, hello. Magandang gabi, and maraming salamat for joining us. Next week ulit tayo magkikita-kita, alas 7 uli ng gabi. Monday Learning Habit ulit tayo, at itutuloy natin yung pag-uusap natin tungkol tungkol sa aklat na Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Okay? So ako muli si Angel Lozari, the President. Ay, Sir Red, andito rin pala. Si Sir Red, yan. Thanks, Angel. Yan, salamat sa Red. Si Red Cruz, ayan ay sa HR namin dati when I was in Isuzu. Yan, isa yan sa mga batikan na tao ng Isuzu dati. So, maraming salamat again. At magkikita ulit tayo next week. Ako muli si Angel Lozari, President at The Thinker ng Lozari Consulting. Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.